My name is Liana Rotera. I am the founder of Redesign Learning. I'm a learning designer. And this is a session that we've actually put up just to help any person who is in the marketing space or entrepreneurship and is looking to learn about SEO. And so I'll just do a brief introduction of Redesign Learning. And so it's a community for marketing interns, specifically to help marketing interns get practical experience and practical real examples that can help them understand marketing topics. And so this has been useful for a range of people, marketing students, marketing interns, people on the job. And so ideally, it's really hard for marketing interns to get that kind of next step when it comes to a job. And so we help them to be able to get the practice that they need to actually get the next job, even get a referral, because it's hard to get referrals if you don't have something like a portfolio that you can show people that this is what I can do. And so we guide marketing interns around the process of really just practicing the things that they learn so that they can be able to know what they can do and what they love to do. So just that space of exploration. And so I'm really glad to have you all here as we start off. The goal of this session is that we shall be focusing on what SEO is, what SEO can do for business through a case study of Tarpo Industries, and listening as Asim answers the questions that have been shared. So I'll be sharing a bit more about Asim in a few minutes' time. And so some Zoom etiquette, if you can, please be on mute, video on, and gallery view. That way we can have a reduction of background noise. And if you'd like to see all the beautiful faces, that would be amazing. So you can put it on gallery view and you'll see some people on the side. Please use the chat, ask questions, give suggestions. And if you relate to anything, please share an emoji. There's the emoji button somewhere at the bottom of the screen. You should have the emoji options, or if you're on laptop, you can actually use Windows Screen Plus, or on a Mac, Control Command Spacebar. And so, yeah, we hope to have you engage as much as possible. So if you can see your emoji section, if you could just give me an emoji, that would be really cool. So it's under reactions. So I can see mine. Nice, patience. Anyone see them? So you will see them under reactions. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Melanie. I hope you can find them. And so as we enter into the session, I'd like us to have a few agreements. And so let's agree that we have, be kind to everyone in the group, that a stranger is a friend that you haven't met. We're joining in with different levels of experience, but remember that we can all give value to this session. And so see each person as a potential friend, collaborator, or mentor. Make the most out of this session and have fun. You can actually participate in this session in 2 different ways. You can either be a consumer, a critic, or a contributor. And so choose which way you feel you'll get the most out of this session. Be open to new learning. Just open your mind to learn a lot more and share your thoughts, trusting that your perspective enriches the group. And so if you do agree to keep to these agreements, please give a thumbs up. Thank you. Are we good? Thank you. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. This will help us have the most out of this session together. And so I would like to introduce to you Asim. So Asim is an SEO expert. He's the director of Tarpo Industries. We get to learn a bit more about Tarpo Industries in a few minutes. And he's also the founder of Global Management Challenge Kenya. So Asim has a great passion towards helping young professionals be able to bring practical skills. And you can see that just from his history, right? Just from managing the Global Management Challenge Kenya, he's actually helps people practice their skills in different kinds of challenges. And he does it also at his own offices at Tarpo Industries. So he's shared so many stories of how he's worked with different kinds of people at different levels to help them build their practical skills. And he has a real goal towards helping people with these skills. And so he's such a great fit for this session, because not only can he give us SEO experience that he has, he can also give insights into what a manager is looking for when someone is coming into actually being SEO skills, right? What are they looking for in terms of practical skills, soft skills? And so please listen in as he shares a bit more. And so with that, I would like to invite Asim to take us through.
Cool. Thanks, Lillian. Let me share the slides from my end. That's exciting that we start in the middle of the presentation as opposed to the beginning.
Yeah, a good snippet for everyone. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's like rolling out the toilet paper, right?
Okay, cool.
Cool. So yeah, I guess Lillian's explained who I am a little bit. It's good to see some familiar faces. Because I can only see Natasha's actually. As Lillian said, I'm an advocate for practical ways of learning. I'm not a fan of sort of classroom-based only stuff. So I'm very keen on practical stuff, and one of the reasons of doing this session with a case study is so that I want to give you guys, especially if you're new, the confidence to experiment and the realization that if you don't actually do something, then you don't get results. So you can continue reading books, but you're not going to understand or learn until you actually start practicing stuff. So that's the gist of using a case study. So I think maybe a quick, if you can put in the chat sort of whether you're a beginner or whether you are sort of an experienced SEO, or whether you have sort of some work experience, no work experience, just so that I get context of who's in the room. And then I know if you ask a question, I know how to answer that question. So maybe I'll give you sort of 10, 15 seconds to just throw that into the chat. Okay, cool. So a lot of beginners. So there's terminology that I'm using that is going to make sense for the experienced guys. So for the beginners, I want to encourage you to ask me the questions if something doesn't make sense, so that either myself or someone experienced in the room can sort of answer the question. As much as I'm sort of leading and talking, there's quite a number of people in the room, and I think group learning is really a cool way of learning. So I'll ask the experienced ones to chip in when they can. So we're gonna start with a case study. The case study is designed slightly around the questions that were submitted during the registration. And then depending on time, we'll see how to conclude. I think there are some additional questions that Lillian might pull up as we go on. So why SEO? Anyone feel like unmuting themselves and saying something about why we want to use SEO? Maybe the experienced ones. Natasha, there was.
Sure. So I look at SEO as, can anyone hear me first of all, before I start talking and then I'm told I'm on mute. Okay, great. So I look at SEO kind of like a little bit of a bidding war. You want to be visible. If you have a website in the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of websites that are out there, or you have content and you want to be seen, I look at SEO in a way that it helps improve your visibility. So when people are searching for things, they can see you. So you use the tools that SEO allows for you to be visible to your customers or whoever you're targeting.
Yeah, that's a great answer, actually. Anyone else? No parents scared of me. Okay, let me go on. So first of all, some facts, right? Google, the search engine, I think most of you, if not all of you, use Google. So Google has 80% of the search engine market globally. So most of the case study is focused around Google Analytics. 95% of clicks on links happen on the first page of Google. And naturally, organic results have more clicks than paid ads. So what we're talking about is organic ranking on search engines. We're not talking about paid ads in this session. And so borrowing from what Natasha said, we are trying to figure out how to get as visible as possible to our customers. SEO is part of something called inbound marketing. Inbound marketing is about inviting potential customers to your web presence or your online presence. And because of data protection laws, inbound marketing is going to be way more valuable than outbound marketing is. There's other things about inbound marketing. It's easier to measure return on investment. And outbound marketing is, although it will not die out, it is a lot harder to measure, and it is a lot more, well, it's fun. I find outbound marketing is actually really fun, but the as I said, the measure of return on investment is a lot more difficult than for inbound marketing. So any business or any web presence should ideally have a marketing strategy, of which inbound makes up a significant proportion now, and SEO would need to be a portion of that. I hope we're on the same boat so far. If there's any questions, just kind of raise your hand or throw it in the chat so that either I can see it or Lillian can flag something. What SEO is not. So it's a continuous process, and when I get into the case study, you'll see what I mean. We'll talk a little bit about results and how fast they happen, because I think there was a question that came in about how quick it can happen. Critical to remember is that it doesn't actually guarantee financial returns. And one of the reasons that I'm here doing this session as a leader in a business is to kind of give you the confidence that there are business leaders who understand that SEO is not going to bring immediate results and is not going to bring immediate financial returns. In the realm of marketing, it's about creating trust in a brand. So if you have a manager or a boss or someone who says that, you know, SEO must give you certain financial return within a certain period of time, you can use all the French you need to use to tell them that that's not going to work. And the other thing is that what I'm actually talking about is not a secret. The tools and techniques that we use to do SEO are available to everyone and anyone. Although there's paid tools, so yeah, you need some money, maybe sometimes, not always. to do some of the work. Generally speaking, to get started, everything you need is actually available for free. And then this bit in red is, I think, the kind of a summary of what, if you're passionate about SEO, then this is something that you need to understand, that the success of SEO is based on the knowledge we have of what is unique about the business or the web asset that we're working with, and how we use the combination of research and the knowledge to kind of do stuff or with our online presence. I hope that makes sense. If there's any questions, again, just raise your hand, please, or I'm happy for you to interrupt me as well, because like I said, it's an interactive session. I want the group to learn. Any questions there? No. Okay, so let me just dive into the case study then. So I'm using obviously Tarpo as a case, because I've been working on that primarily for quite a number of years, actually. What you see on the screen right now is actually our homepage, or a screenshot of our homepage. This is now what you would consider quite an old website. It's not as responsive and it's not as mobile friendly as you might want it to be. I'm happy to discuss that a little bit later. There's a reason why we haven't changed anything, and the answer could be interesting for some of you. So we're a 40-year-old business, so actually 44 years old, and we have a niche B2B focus. We're in a space that not many people are aware of until they come into the working world. We work with technical textiles, so shelter solutions from fabrics is kind of the simplest way of explaining that. We've got buyers and decision makers all over the world, so we've exported to pretty much every continent except the South Pole. We haven't gone to check whether there's something there, but definitely not aware of anything in the South Pole. We do have products in Australia, in the Caribbean, as far as Canada. So we're pretty much supplying to the world. Our product portfolio is very wide, and it serves a lot of segments. As you can see in this in the image of our homepage, you can see that we serve the NGOs, we serve military, oil and gas, hospitality and stuff like that. So we have quite a number of sectors that we serve. And then the world of technical textiles has had a lot of innovation in the last 10 years. So I've put some things here. I've got some questions here, and maybe I really would like someone to now unmute themselves and give us an answer to, if it's a niche industry with a B2B focus, what does this mean for social media marketing? It's like school again. I'm gonna have to pick someone to answer.
Maybe I can ask a clarification question. So is the question that what does it mean in terms of how you do your social media marketing as a business marketing to other businesses?
It is a little bit more open than that.
Okay.
So when we are interviewing people who are coming in for a job or something, and I get a lot of feedback saying you guys are not as active on social media as other businesses. Yeah, there's a reason why.
Maybe I can just chime in from my experience working in a B2B company that was also not as social media active.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, well, as past tense, at the time, it was because our market was primarily the other businesses. So we always had to be more technical. And so we were focused more on marketing to them through LinkedIn and things like those. It was very, very particular. So we can't just go on Instagram and be like, we are selling, I was working in a transport company. So we're selling reefer units. Nobody is going to be like, that's really what I'm thinking of buying today, 40,000 euros worth of a reefer unit. It's not the same as selling to a customer where you're selling shoes, So we didn't focus on channels such as what's it called, Instagram and Snapchat and things like those, because our audience was primarily on LinkedIn, and sometimes used Vimeo to just come up with videos and stuff like that they could watch. And we also used trade fairs. So social media was not a big priority for us. I don't know if that's the same case for Tarpo.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you nailed the word that I was looking for, which is target audience. For B2B focus, the target audience is super critical, because as you said, you're not selling a commodity, or you're not selling shoes. You're selling something very specific to a very specific segment, or a very specific audience. So yeah, exactly the same. Yeah, thanks for that. I'm going to move on. So what were the challenges that we had? So we were struggling with a high number of inquiries where we couldn't figure out the difference between market qualified and sales qualified leads. I will leave you guys to use the good old Google to get the difference between market qualified and sales qualified. I mentioned earlier that innovation happened really quickly, and so our customer base was struggling with product knowledge. Forget our internal situation with product knowledge as well. And so what was happening was our sales team was spending a lot more time educating market qualified leads, and then not spending time hitting the ones that were really going to convert. We didn't have a single place for sales related information, so we didn't have a CRM at the time. I'm talking about quite a while ago. And so because we didn't have that, then we didn't have enough data for trend analysis. And then we had interestingly, we had a poor online presence. Just a quick background, our first website went live in 1994, which I think might be before some of you were born. So this is a chronology of our marketing journey. So just to give you an idea of how far away or how far along we've come. So in 2013 is where we realized that our online presence was fading. We couldn't be found on Google. So we started trying to figure out, okay, how do we get ourselves back in the game? We started, because we were B2B focused, we started looking at differentiating between the market qualified and the sales qualified leads. So I did a lot of research on sales automation, discovered a great app, software as a service, HubSpot. We adopted HubSpot as a CRM, And then as soon as we started doing that, HubSpot started telling us about inbound marketing. So we spent 2015 trying to figure out how do we implement inbound marketing. Realized that to implement inbound marketing, we had to really, really understand our business. And so we spent 2016 and 2017 actually understanding who we were, who our target audience was, what we were selling, how people were buying. So it took us an extremely long time to figure out how we made sense online. And then 2018 is when we started experimenting. So we didn't start SEO until we had done some experiments and realized that our SEO was where the problem was. So we started doing content marketing and paid ads in 2018. And we also did some paid social media ads. And just going back to what we said earlier, our paid social media ads brought us no inquiries, no lead generation. So from all of that, and you can see it took us 7-8 years to get to where we are now. Marketing is a very slow process for certain types of business. SEO is just a part of a holistic marketing process. It is so important to understand the business because you need that to do your keyword research. You also need to understand your business to figure out who your competition is. And sometimes you don't know who your competition is until you start actually doing the experimenting. So you discover that someone you never knew existed is suddenly competing with you. So SEO, maybe for the beginners, is split into these three simple sections. There's technical, there's content, and then there's search engine control, as I call it. And so we spent a lot of time initially sorting out our technical stuff. So we had to redo the back end of our website. We had to restructure our content, or where our content was living. Got rid of dead links, so pages that were no longer relevant or no longer existed. And just try to figure out how to make the experience a lot easier. And I had myself and somebody else working with me. I focused on the technical side while she focused on the content side. And so we did a lot of keyword research. And then once we had got the technical side of it sorted out and we knew what we were doing with the content in terms of how frequently we were putting content out, we then sort of figured out, okay, this is what we need to tell Google to do now. So we told Google to index, and then the analytics took over, and we ended up in a feedback loop. So the analytics would then tell us what we needed to do, either on the technical side or on the content side. I'm just gonna quickly ask if there's any questions on that so far. Nope. Okay. So I want to just highlight a couple of specific keywords that, or long tail keywords, as we call them, phrases that we started indexing for. And if you have a look at the CTR, which is the click-through rate, we got to an average of 24% over sort of an 18-month period, which maybe the experienced ones can validate for me is actually a very high CTR rate. And you'll see that we started being indexed for that particular key phrase in March 2021, and we had a sudden increase, and it stayed constant for quite a number of months. You'll see that there was a drop off in in January, in March. We'll come to that maybe in a minute. So I just want to then show this. Let me just minimize this. So from the 24 or 25% of people who clicked through to our website, out of those 6% actually submitted an inquiry. So again, the experienced ones may or may not validate me and say that 6% is actually a very high conversion rate. For us, it was it's high enough that we are actually seeing a new lead on this particular product coming in every day. So if our lead generation is 6% of the 25%, then you can imagine that if we convert, then the value, if you consider that our conversion rate is 30%, I know there's a lot of maths in there, but you get what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of revenue that's coming from that. Another one, this is parasol. These are basically your garden umbrella. Interestingly enough, we were not really showing up when we were talking about garden umbrella, but when we started talking about parasol, for some reason, we started suddenly ranking. And this particular keyword, you can see on row 8, you can see that we had a click-through rate of 10%. There's further down where it says buy parasol is at 33% click-through rate. So very specific keywords that we were targeting, and we were getting very specific lead generation. And then another, just highlighting this conversion rate of the same thing. So getting 4% conversion rate in terms of lead generation. Those percentages that I've showed you are actually very, very high, based on the volume of traffic that most websites get. And then the next one, this is unique page views. So there's a myth around this particular one. I'm sure we'll bring it up in a moment. Yeah, so you can see that from our chronology, we started our SEO activity in 2018. We actually did the submission to Google and forced it to start indexing us differently in 2019. And you can see that throughout 2019, we had some crazy page views. For a B2B business in a niche industry, this is actually significantly high, and this is within the region of East Africa, mainly Kenya. So this kind of data is actually, it's gold data. That volume is very high. And I want to finish off by asking what you guys think we changed in 2020 for the page views to reduce.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
I'm interested to see, I don't know if you had shown it, what your conversion rates were like in 2019 versus 2020.
I don't have that. No, I don't have that with me sort of straight away, but I can tell you for sure, 2020 was, for those two products that I've shown, the conversion rate was pretty high, almost double 2019.
Okay. So did you, maybe I'm just going to take a wild guess, did you become more specific in your keywords? Like it became more detailed? Because I think like when I search for something, I'm sorry, I'd like to give examples. When I search for something, Let's say I want to search for shoes. Everyone searches for shoes, but like brown shoes, and then brown shoes with a buckle, and then so like the more specific you are, the less people who are not really interested and turn away will, spend time there.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we did. We changed. We looked at the keywords that were driving conversion versus the ones that were bouncing. We kind of told Google not to rank us for the crap ones, excuse the French. And so our page views reduced, but as you saw, our conversion rate and click-through rate increased.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah, so we were basically chasing higher quality conversion, higher quality leads, as opposed to high volumes of traffic.
Mm.
And that I'd say that is the name of the game, especially if it's a B2B business, because you want to. We can go into real details about ROI and stuff like that, but basically, the sales qualified leads that you get, you know that person is serious about wanting to buy what you sell. And those are the ones that you want to target. Anyone who doesn't want to buy what you sell, you don't really want to target.
That's fair enough, yeah.
Well, I just want also throw a question in just for those of us who are beginners, because I consider myself a beginner. And if you have any questions in the room about the case study so far, you can put it in the chat and I can voice it out for you. And so usually I'm not really the person to step out and ask questions, but I really feel like there's something that you asked here around, that you said around the case study that brought to me this question. You mentioned technical SEO, content SEO, and search engine control. So if I could ask, I mean, those words are really huge. What exactly did you do different? Because I don't really get it in terms of, did you change the website? What exactly do those words mean, so that if I was to look at a website before and after, you can tell, okay, so this is technical SEO change. This is content change, and this is like SEO. Sorry about the echo. So the question was just, those three things look so vague, like it just looks like technical terms in the cloud. Could you explain how someone can see that visually and be able to say, okay, so this is technical SEO. This is what you mean by the content stuff, and also the SEO control. What do those things look like in real life for a beginner to be able to see them and visualize them?
So I'll use the Google tools to explain that.
Yeah.
So Google have they have analytics, they have search console, and then they've got Google Ads, and a bunch of other really let me say complicated tools as well. So the technical SEO is really about how fast your website loads, whether it's mobile friendly, is the experience the user has is it comfortable, or does it just get really difficult to use your website? And so Google's built these algorithms and bots to figure out whether the human around the world is going to find it easier to use your website or not. So that's the technical side of it, because I'm sure everyone's had this experience where you land on a website and then it takes forever to load, and by the time it's finished loading, you've already left because you're just like, I can't wait for this. And so the benchmark is that if that entire page hasn't loaded in 3 seconds, then your website's actually considered poor. So in the context of the question that I've asked, and also what Lillian you're asking, so we used we didn't do anything on the technical side, so we didn't really look at how our web website was as an experience, or how it was in terms of loading. We used the combination of Google Ads, which has a keyword planner, and we used Search Console to figure out what our content was doing in terms of our ranking. So the change that we made was influenced by content SEO. And basically what we were doing was changing keywords. So we would insert a sentence with a specific keyword, or we would delete a sentence or rephrase a sentence, either on a blog post or on a product page or on a landing page. And then we would, if we could, we would ask Google to re-index. And if we couldn't, we would just wait 2 to 3 weeks before it was automatically indexed. So the main change that we made in 2020 was related to content. We didn't really touch the technical side. Actually, I haven't touched the technical SEO of our website for, I think, about a year, at least a year now. I need to go back into that because there is a change coming from Google in the next few weeks. But yeah, we really focused on the content and the keywords. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that we spent a lot of time researching to figure out what was happening, what keyword was giving us good stuff, and what keyword was kind of chasing away people. I know the terms are quite technical, and there are a lot of easy to find resources that explain each one of those. Moz.com has a very simple explanation for all of those. Google themselves, if you like the way Google talks, then look into sort of the Google support files and look at what they're talking about.
Nice. So the controls are what you mentioned at first. There was also the part around controls.
Yeah, so search engine control.
Yeah.
So you're basically telling the search engine what you want it to rank, or what you want it to index, and what you don't want it to index. You don't have 100% control, because once you put something on the web, it lives there forever. But you can do things that over time change the visibility of a specific page or keyword or something like that. So you can tell Google, for example, not to index a specific page on your site, or you can tell it to downgrade a certain keyword that you're ranking for, or you can force it to re-index after you've made a significant change. So there's a bunch of those things. You can also kind of you can tell it about your localization. So you want to focus on, like in our case, we wanted to focus just on Kenya. So that's what we did. So you're not kind of leaving it to Google to figure out what it wants to do. You are kind of telling it that this is what I want you to look at my site as.
Okay, cool. That's interesting. Yeah, it does. It's just cool that can actually happen. I thought it was all up to Google. So it's nice to know that there's some sort of control you can have if you really know where to go.
Yeah, as an example, or like a by the way, we've got a small factory in Uganda, and their inquiry rate shot up just on. So we did a bit of local SEO to try and focus on Uganda as well. And the number of inquiries they started getting is crazy. They got inquiries for things that they don't even do. So what was happening was that they get a Ugandan customer who ends up on our Tarpo.com website, and they see a product that they get interested in. The Ugandans don't know how to make it, so we've got to figure out how to make it here or explain to them how to make it. So that's been really interesting as well, that our localized SEO, we were doing it from here for Uganda, and we did very simple stuff, and it actually increased their traffic as well.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to, I think there'll be a space for guys to jump in and ask their questions. And I think that's where we actually get to see how you do this practically and step by step. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think we're at that point of where we can have some questions now, maybe one or two. Or should I go to these ones?
Maybe we can start off tomorrow, just because of time. I know we were meant to finish at 9 p.m.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I know, guys, it's a Friday night, and so we really wanted to, I know Asim wants to edit the questions, but we also wanted to finish a bit early on time and release guys on time. And so tomorrow we'll actually get into the questions. There's a bunch of questions that were asked, and Asim will be taking us each and every one of them that was asked, to the point that we can actually fit in the time. And so we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Just before we close up, we'd love to know what's one thing that you've learned from this session and that you would kindly put in the chat. So just one thing you're taking away from the session as we wrap up. Okay, nice. Natasha, thank you for sharing. Different industry need a different approach. Exactly. So B2Bs. Asim, thank you. I think for me, if you can just share a reaction, we'd love to know how you're feeling. Personally, I'm amazed.
I think Mary wrote something in the chat.
Yeah, Mary, thank you for sharing. Learning that marketing definitely has its ups and downs, and it's very interesting to see and learn about B2B niches and everything. Learned very many new things today. Thank you. Awesome, Mary. And we have more things coming tomorrow. Things are very practical, and we hope that you can jump in and ask as many questions as possible. And if you're a beginner like me, the more you can learn, because now we can actually ask the people who are experienced in the room, so what is this? Where did you get this? How do you even find this? How did you even learn about this? And so this is a point where you can ask as many questions as possible. Remember our agreement that everyone brings value into the room. And so it doesn't matter what question you have, we'd love to come and just hear you out and help each other grow. Any other person who wants to share what thing that they've learned or how they're feeling today? Nicole, I thought you shared an emoji. I didn't see it. Unfortunately, I missed out on it. Maybe you can put it in the chat as we share our last words. I would just put some few links in the chat. In case you want to learn more from us, you can connect with Asim on LinkedIn. And for us on Redesign, we are on Instagram and also on LinkedIn that you can reach out. Oh, Joanne, nice. The marketing chronology is an eye-opening illustration of how the SEO process can be. Yes, and it's awesome to learn from Asim that there's actually people who are willing to listen when you say that marketing takes time, that they don't expect results within the next 1 week. And especially if you're an intern going in and someone is having this huge burden on you that you need to accomplish some big goal in 1 week, it's amazing to know that there are people out there, leaders who are going to bring you into the business and know that it's going to take time and they understand why. So it's pretty amazing to see that chronology and also just to have that affirmation that marketing takes time. So take the time to learn it and be willing to experiment. Okay, cool. Any other comment as we close up? Any other reaction? Feel free to share an emoji. That's also a valid response. Okay, great. Nice, Luther. It's amazing how much effort goes into marketing. Most people in sales don't know this. Yes, it's very true. It's very true. That actually brings a good question around the difference between marketing and sales. Maybe you can ask that tomorrow. Awesome. Okay, cool, guys. We are on time. Please feel free to exit as we finish at this point. We look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow and answer real questions. Please come with any questions that you've not had so we can learn together tomorrow.